Everyone, my name is Abena Boamah. I'm the founder and CEO of Hanahana Beauty. I'm really excited to bring this conversation with you guys for Listen and Level Up Sync with B Lab. Today, we're going to be talking to Simone Jordan from SheaMoisture, and it's going to be a really fruitful conversation. So I'll allow Simone to first just introduce herself, and then we'll get into it.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Simone Jordan, and I lead purpose, partnership, and experiential for SheaMoisture. And SheaMoisture is a Unilever brand, and I've been with the brand for actually, it's officially in November, 7 years. So excited to talk to you and have this conversation today. So let's get into it.
Yes. No, well, I'm really excited. I feel like as a brand that has, made our name around Shea and our mission and all things, SheaMoisture has always been, I feel like, you look up and you're like, okay, how can I get to this level? But in this past year, I've learned so much in knowing the fact that SheaMoisture is actually a B corporation, which makes a lot of sense because you guys are quite mission driven. And Hanahana, we just went through the process of B Lab and becoming a B Corp. We're doing our certification now. And so I just wanted to kind of talk about how has that experience been? What does that mean for SheaMoisture to be a part of the B Corp? Have a B corporation.
Yeah, and first, let me just give you a compliment. Hanahana Beauty, you guys are doing an amazing job. If you go to the website and visit the site, you see how you're leading your business with purpose. And so, to your point, Sundial brand, SheaMoisture, we have been a B Corp brand. We just got recertified this year. We're super excited about it. We scored really high, meaning we're continuing to ensure that purpose and what we do for our community is at the forefront of our business. And it to be B Corp certified, it is a priority for our brand. It is one that we take very seriously. It shows the consumer that commitment, right? If there was a certification, I'm not sure there's any other certification that we believe impacts our consumers as much and certifies to our consumers as much that we are thinking about the business. We're thinking about the women who make our shea butter. We're ensuring that the quality of life for them is at the forefront of our business. So it is very important. It has been a very integral part of our business and one that we assure year after year we're maintaining that certification.
Yeah. And I feel like one thing that's kind of the same between both of our brands is how our mission, the history, and the DNA of both of the brands are aligned with culturally where we're sourcing our ingredients from.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things why, as a brand, when I first started as a founder, even knowing what B Corporation meant, I was like, oh my goodness, I want to be a part. So for us to have the opportunity to get be a part of B level, it just helped us get through that process. Because as a small brand, most of the time you don't even know, okay, we're doing all this impact work. I didn't even realize what it meant to go through the assessment portion and have to hit all these different marks, these scores. And B level has been great because it gave me an opportunity to actually meet more brands that are doing this and that are being intentional around their mission and just everything all together. So yeah, I'm very excited to talk into things because I feel like, sometimes when people think of SheaMoisture, it's like hair care, we think of the switch, the change, Unilever, all the different things that have happened. But for me, when I think of SheaMoisture, I definitely go back to Tamale thinking about the shea actual industry. I've told this story a couple of times before, but I remember when I first started going back to Ghana and sourcing our shea, we source our shea from the Katarga Cooperative in Tamale. But one of the times when I had moved there, I just kind of lost my way in the neighborhood. And I ended up at another cooperative, which was Haja Rabi. Shout out to her. She's amazing. She owns over 13 cooperatives. And she was actually one of the people that inspired me to start thinking around accessibility to healthcare and how she was providing and the things that I could do. And it just started kind of expanding my mind. But I learned that you guys also do sourcing from her and have been working with her. They've been able to build a whole entire factory, like just so many things. And a lot of it has been with the partnership. So I would love for you to like kind of share a bit more about that, because I don't think a lot of people really know the entirety of the work that SheaMoisture does with cooperatives.
Yeah, such an important point. I think when people hear SheaMoisture, of course, they think of our hair care, they think of our skin care, they think of our products, but they don't necessarily know the women behind our products, right? We have made a commitment when the founder created the business to ensure that he was bringing that heritage, his heritage, to the brand. And so he wanted to make sure that he was sourcing from West Africa, the shea butter. And it really was a nod to his grandmother, who was selling shea butter and giving opportunities to other within her village to be able to make money through shea butter. And so the efficacy of our shea butter, the handcrafting, the stories that go behind the shea butter, it's all part of SheaMoisture. And so when you hear SheaMoisture, we want you to really, really celebrate the shea butter that we're using. And we are paying fairer than fair premiums for that shea butter. So, you know, there's a such a thing as fair wages, and your shea butter should be sourced with fair wages, but you can also go beyond that. And that's what SheaMoisture does. And so we have a premium on top of our fair wages. And it's that premium that allows the women, as you said, Madam Robbie, and those who are leading our cooperatives to be able to reinvest back into their communities, right? So a cooperative serves those that are within a cooperative, but we know that there is also women outside of those cooperatives. There are families outside of that cooperative that still need to be supported through the villages, collective earnings. And so it's a beautiful thing to be able to, we actually go there. To your point, we go, we visit, we know the women's names, and we hope our consumers be able to embrace and learn the women's names too, as we continue to tell their stories. Is that they have this village savings and loan program, and it allows them to build schools. It allows them to build safety and health for those who are working within the cooperatives to create our handcrafted shea butter. And so there's so many stories that go behind that. And it really is empowering women to feel like they can make their own livelihoods, right? So like before we do the work of the fair and fair wages, they were making so much less to sell on their own. When we created this cooperative, it allows, we work with Savannah Fruits Company, and they're able to negotiate with us, not only us sourcing their shea butter, which is a guarantee that we're procuring their shea butter, which is, excellent for those women to know. They don't have to go by just sell it in a market. They actually have us, Unilever, as a partner in procuring that. But then on top of it, it's giving them that premium. And so thank you for, identifying and knowing that part of our story, because it is very, very unique for us as a business. And then it is something that we want the industry to really take on. And we celebrate as a B Corp brand that is how we're going above and beyond to ensure that the livelihoods of the women sourcing our shea butter are our priority and our focus.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's so funny because we recently, like on TikTok, had shared, like we made a post around like, you're supporting or you're buying from a brand that pays 2 times the asking price for the raw materials. And we got a comment of someone that was like, oh, you're the reason why shea butter is expensive or something like that. And I was like, man, excuse me, what? And the same things that you said is like, okay, we're when you think about it, as a brand that's based in the US, when we're buying shea, we're not only buying shea thinking about, okay, how do we margin, like the margins and everything, but we're buying it directly from the producers themselves. So we want to empower the women to be able to be sustained in a way that is just beyond like just the nickel and dime in that sense. But also we're thinking about closing the living wage gap. And like, it's something that's really important when you're working on the continent, especially within West African countries too, when inflation, all the different things are fluctuating from actually the seeding prices, all these different things. And I think it's just so important like that these values and the foundations that are like being built in are shared across, platforms. So people actually understand what we're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, I mean, SheaMoisture, I feel like people sometimes don't know the story all about SheaMoisture. I mean, you guys were launched, I think 1991, I think is when, is
Yeah.
that right? Yeah. So 1991.
1996, and then Nubian Heritage, which is part of Sundial Brands,
Okay.
1991. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So like the beginnings of it all, I mean, and that from starting there from Nubian Heritage to now being acquired, I feel like a lot of people always think around, especially as a small brand, right? Is like, what does it look like for a brand, let's say such as myself, to keep our values, our foundation, especially when you're looking to be acquired? Like, what did that look like for SheaMoisture? Because, you know, I've even went through some of the process when we've grown from, you know, in-house production to now going into co-manufacturing, where we're like, we're still sourcing directly from our producers. And because it's aligned in our foundation, they're like, yes, we're gonna keep doing that. What did that look like for SheaMoisture? And like any advice, I guess, for other brands that are looking to grow at that point of being acquired?
It's a very important question, which is, I've been with the brand pre-acquisition. So I was with it. I was with the founding family. And then I've seen them go through acquisition still with Unilever today. And I try to remind brands that acquisition should look like partnership. It should look like it is a way that you can accelerate growth. It's a way for you to continue continue creating impact with the brand as you're growing the business. So a lot of people think about, especially in our community of Black owned businesses, they think of acquisition as walking away. And it's not walking away. It's actually saying, who do I need to partner with me to be able to really realize what I was actually hoping to achieve when I started this brand, right? And so I think if we think about it that way, one of the things that you should start when and most of us have started as Black owned business founders, is that you're thinking about it in a way that I built this business to either impact my family or impact my community. And so in order to scale that growth along with your business growth, you should look at acquisition in that way too. So I know Rich Lou Dennis, the founder of SheaMoisture, that was a big consideration for him. He wasn't ready to sell until he found the right partner to say, not only do we want to continue helping you maximize the growth of this brand, but we also want to figure out, how do we accelerate the growth of your purpose and what the brand has done before acquisition. And so, I'm sure many people have read the headlines about it, but like during his acquisition, he was able to create New Voices, which was a $100 million fund for women of color entrepreneurs to be able to grow and scale their businesses, much like SheaMoisture.
Next question I have is around, I feel like there's a lot of us brands, right, that we've started small, we have big hopes, we have big impact that we want to make, which usually means that you want to be acquired. You know, I know a lot of the times, like our community, they look at like a Black owned brand being acquired or growing to that scale as like, like kind of sold out or anything in that sense. But for me, I look at it as a goal, because bigger impact, more resources. So I definitely want to like just hear what you have to say when it thinks about what SheaMoisture did to one, like keep the brand, keep the foundation and the values before you guys got acquired. And any advice you have for brands that are looking to get acquired, like how do they continue to transport the brand moving forward in that sense too?
Yeah, so I have had the honor of being on a brand pre-acquisition, so with the Dennis family, and then moving over into Unilever post-acquisition and forming my leadership there. And so I've seen the whole acquisition process. I've also seen how the community reacted when they heard that the brand was acquired. And I think one of the important things that I said then, and I'll continue saying, is we have to look at acquisition in a way that we understand that it is the next step in growing your business.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people feel like, no, it's how you exit. And that shouldn't be the thought, right? It should be, how are you looking at this as a partnership and taking your business to the next level? And that isn't always the conversation we're having. And so I think SheaMoisture is leading and showing that partnership between SheaMoisture and Unilever. And when I say partnership, it is that. So when you're thinking about, why am I selling this business? Why am I thinking like, what are the next steps for my business? A lot of times it's sales. It's about the sales. And you need a partner like Unilever who has the manufacturing, the distribution, like all of the expertise that can help you take your business to the next level. But what is actually core to always also remember and should be at the forefront of your decision when you're thinking about your partner is, how can that partner actually accelerate your growth and purpose and its commitments to its community. And so, you know, when SheaMoisture was acquired, Richelieu, he talked about the partnership with SheaMoisture creating, the partnership with Unilever creating a $100 million fund for Black and brown women of color to be able to grow and scale their businesses like SheaMoisture. But the part that not too many people also know is that in that acquisition, it was also an opportunity to take our cooperatives and how we source shea butter and bring it into the whole Unilever ecosystem, right?
Wow.
So as a business, SheaMoisture was buying their shea handcrafted from the women in Tamale. But there was also an opportunity when you go into Unilever ecosystem to say, hey, other brands that are owned by Unilever, you can also source your shea butter in this way.
Yeah.
So it allowed us to say, from one, from being acquired, we have so much more access to other brands that we can say, we want to teach you guys how you can transform the livelihoods of the people who are creating your shea butter. And it's allowing us to double, triple our impact, because there's only so much you can do pre-acquisition with the resources that we had. And then we came into it, as the business grows, so should our impact. And we are ensuring that. That is literally my role, which is exciting, is to say, okay, if I see the business growing, then I need to make sure the impact is also growing with it. And that's my responsibility. So, I think especially small minority Black-owned brands, don't think about acquisition in a scary way of, oh, I'm giving my brand to someone and I'm walking away. You get to set the terms, right? You get to determine how much you want for your business, and also how much they're going to continue to grow and scale the impact that you've made in your community. And if you keep it at the forefront, then acquisition won't seem as scary, but it'll also actually seem like a tool that is helping you achieve your means a bit quicker.
Yeah, no, I feel like what I'm hearing is, one, it's a partnership. Like, it's not just like it's not your exit. I think sometimes investors, they're excited for that. Like, okay, when are you going to exit in that sense? But it's more so about the partnership. And I always tell people, like, sustainability and creating impact is expensive in this world, especially in this market, right? And so if you want to make a bigger impact, you have to have those resources. And when you get acquired, it's about making sure the people that are benefiting off of your brand and what you've built, is that your brand that you've built is benefiting from them, right? Not only that, but your mission. And it seems like it just trickles down, you know? And I think what you said is like opening up the cooperatives to even more clients, to more customers, impacts them. And that's something that I love hearing you guys talk about that, because those are like what's on our forefront. How we want to continue to move is around, like, when we think about economic sustainability, we think about accessibility within our mission, is like, how do we do that for our producers, because we don't want to be their only client in that sense. We want to empower them when other people even come to them. They're like, this is the pricing, this is how we want to be treated in this way. So I love that. I was recently back home in Ghana, and as much as I love the finished goods sides of things, and also when we think about sustainability around community and people, environmental sustainability and impact, especially in the industry, the beauty industry, I think there's just so much that's going on, especially when we're so close to the plant itself. I've been learning a lot, from Global Shea Alliance about like the regenerative farming that's going on, farming of more trees, shea trees, and like just all the different projects that are happening around. There's some amazing companies that are doing so many things already, like directly with farmers, like Farmer Line, like just all the different things happening. Would love to know, like, what are SheaMoisture's thoughts about the environmental impact, like with sourcing, and maybe some things that you guys are looking to, either that you're already doing or wanting to invest more into. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, the really, really great thing about our structure is that we are empowering those that are actually in the cooperative to make the decisions for themselves. So there's certain things that, like, as a you want to just fill green space and
Yeah.
say, oh, these are the things that we want to do, but are they actually should you be prioritizing specific things for your community? And that's what we've been able to do. So, like, for us, it's safety. And so we've had, we've created opportunities to grant them shea rollers. And that's making sure that they're safe and that, like, snakes and other, when you're collecting the nuts, that is a process that not too many people actually think about. They're only thinking about the side where, you're processing the shea butter, but
Yeah.
collecting the nuts, there is safety risk to that. So that's one of the things that we focused on, because we're hearing directly from our community, and they have decided that's how they're using the money to support the women in their cooperative. Another thing for us has been cutting the carbon footprint and lowering the emissions that come from producing shea butter. I encourage everyone to actually go and look at how they produce shea butter. And if you're not looking at a processing center, you're looking at the women in their village with the, I'm probably using the wrong language, but with the pots. You probably can help
Yeah,
me
where
out.
they're needing the products. Yeah.
There is smoke and there is all of this that comes from it. And they are figuring out ways through these manufacturing centers, through these processing centers, to be able to lower that, which has been amazing for their health and for their community and for the environment. But then they're also even looking at, like, I think it's, and I'm probably saying it wrong here, don't ding me on this, but they're reusing some of the material in order to be more efficient, right? So if you look at the shells of the ingredients, they're reusing that and figuring out ways to be able to have more efficiencies. So again, I encourage everyone to find, you can go to SheaMoisture's YouTube and you'll see a lot of footage of when we visited our cooperatives and really learn how they actually make the shea butter that we use. But then you can go online, and I definitely know you can go to Hanahana and see it on your website as well. Just some of the, the beautiful women who are creating it and the process that it actually takes to go through it. And again, we want to empower our communities, whether it's in the US or whether it's in Ghana. We're saying, you know what you need, right? And we want you to dictate that to us and then prioritize it, versus us just leaning into the hottest part of sustainability, the hottest part of, creating green spaces and saying we need to do that for this community.
Yeah, no, I love that. And especially what you're talking about. So basically, like, when the women need, like, the shea, there's this excess, it's the waste. And the waste, they actually end up using it to create, like, charcoal that they then use to burn everything. And I remember the first time I saw that, and I was like, this is like the most, like, recycle, reusable, sustainable, like, process ever. And it's something that I've seen also, like, even with coffee, like, farmers, and I feel like there's so many sustainable ways that they're already looking at the environment. And sometimes when we're looking at the outside, we're like, but what are you doing about the environment? And it's like, they're already moving, like, culturally, we are actually sustainable people, in that sense. And so it's exciting to be able to then have, like, inject and invest in that for ways that are even safer, for them to work and to actually go through the process. And I love that you talk about it. It's not just from the process, it's from the farming, it's from the seedlings, like all the different things that are happening. And, I think shea, the industry of shea, the raw material itself, there's just so much opportunity, even outside of the beauty space. So it's so important for people to really, like, understand what's going on, because it's quite an impactful industry. And, we both kind of talked about this. And I mean, for Hanahana, we definitely have intersected our creativity, our storytelling, our process, our mission all together. And I hear this question a lot from founders that are starting, or that, they're everyone, you want to make sure your product is great, but it's like, how do you market your impact without being like a charitable, like, brand, but you want to make sure that people know your products are good? How has SheaMoisture kind of thought around that, strategized around marketable products, but also telling the story and keeping that alive and keeping the new information and everything that's going on with the impact work that you guys are doing, you know?
Yeah, so I can say we have struggled to be able to integrate that fully into our marketing. We're looking at more and more ways to be able to tell those stories. It's something that almost felt like it's kept as like like it's our family. So we're not just exposing them to the world. We want to keep them close. But we also know that we need to tell the stories of those women because it's such an empowering story and so much work is there to ensure that the products that everyone enjoys. Like you should know the names of the women who are creating your product. You should know how much more of a premium that you're giving, giving them through your sales of through your purchase of SheaMoisture. So like we need to connect the stories for the consumer so that they know when you pick up a bottle of SheaMoisture, you're doing so much good, right? And you're ensuring such amazing practices that ensure that the women who are creating your Shea products are being treated well, that they are empowering themselves to like guide their own destinies within these cooperatives and villages. And so we do need to figure out how to tell more of that, but we've been very humble. We kind of put it on the pack. We put it on end caps, we put it in our marketing, but really I think the power is in storytelling and ensuring, and I think a lot of businesses are doing it in an amazing way, which is they're almost putting people's names that created the product on their pack, right? So I think there's a lot of ways that we could lean into telling the story more as a brand. And I think it's very, very important, but I will admit that we are still figuring out ways to really take our impacts and make it broadly known to our consumer and to our community. And so we did release our impact report, our first ever impact report last year. And we're excited to continue releasing these impact reports to our community so that there is transparency in our business and how we're fulfilling our commitments to our community. So I'll just give a plug there that if you do want to know more, there is an impact report on SheaMoisture.com that actually talks more about the impact we're making in Ghana and as well in the US.
No, I love that. I think it's so important. There's a lot of brands that I think are doing a really great job, including SheaMoisture, like just in showing the impact. And I think it's one of those things, the balance of like the respectability, right? Of like, it is someone's job. They're doing this work, but then also it's like, you want people to know what is going on behind the scenes, like the important things that are happening. But I just appreciate you sharing. I guess to like my last question is that any advice for founders that are looking or people that are even thinking, right, to start a brand that is with impact in the beauty or just wellness space? How can they get tapped into new voices? How can they get tapped into the SheaMoisture like the network of things? Like how can they be involved in that way?
Yeah, so for sure, continue to follow us on our social media pages, go to the website to know more information, and then, connect with those who are either part of our ecosystem already. And I know like we joke about it a lot, our CEO, leadership on our team, we literally take texts from small business owners, from founders, and we try to directly help and serve them. So again, go to my LinkedIn. I can't promise I'm returning every text and every call and every note, but that is the passion in which I want to actually respond to everyone. And that's how much we take this commitment seriously. If you want to learn more about New Voices, and not even you should, if you are a business of color, you can go to New Voices. They're on all social media platforms, as well as you can go to their website. I think there's quite a few more that we partner with, from Fearless Fund to other. I want to shout out Amazon Black Business Accelerator. There's so many programs now that have been created to directly serve our small Black-owned businesses that please take advantage of those, because even I know a lot of times people are only looking because they're like, hey, is there funding there? Is there capital there? But also realize that these organizations, especially New Voices, they have foundations that are creating coaching and mentoring and advising that also are growing and scaling amazing businesses. So yes, I think continue to network, follow up on all of these different organizations that you're hearing about and take advantage of all opportunities, not just those that are connected to cash and funding, but also those that can actually give you the mentoring, the coaching, and the advising that you need to be able to prepare for acquisition, prepare for partnership.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. It's like about building the community. You never know where your connections will take you and the people that you're talking to, like what they're doing and how they can end up benefiting and impacting the impact you want to create. So I love that. Those are all the questions I had. I don't know if you have any questions or anything for me at all. This was amazing conversation that I've like really enjoyed just learning.
No questions, but a comment, which is just like, I love your brand. We are paying attention. I look forward to partnership opportunities with you. So this conversation, we're having it now, but I look forward to continuing this conversation and seeing how we can together grow the impact in Ghana and how we're sourcing our shea butter. And thank you for a wonderful conversation. We don't get this opportunity too many times to talk about this side of the business. So thank you to B Corporation. Thank you guys for this conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, as a founder, especially in the beauty industry, utilizing shea, this has been like a check on my list. Just being able to talk to anyone in the ups of SheaMoisture. Simone, you're amazing. Thank you so much, B Lab, for having us. You guys continue to check out the Listen and Level Up Sync conversations, and we're out.